Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cardboard Dragon Reviews, the video review series designed to teach you a board game as if you're sitting at the table with me, as well as to provide a review on that game in hopes of helping you decide if that game is right for you. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more board game reviews and tutorials. Today, we are taking a look at Escape: Curse of the Temple, which is a game for 1 to 5 players, recommended for ages 8 and up. And it takes almost exactly 10 minutes to play every time that you play, and that is because it is run by a CD, which is acting as a time marker for us. And alternatively, if you don't want to use a CD or you don't want to put it on your phone with MP3s, there's old school sand timer you can use also. So we are playing as these Indiana Jones style explorers here, but what we're trying to do is drop off these cursed gems, magical gems, into their matching slots on the board so that we can remove a curse that's been placed upon us, and then also run out the exit of the temple once we place enough gems down. And we only have 10 minutes to do it before the temple collapses on top of us. So let's go ahead and let's teach you how to play Escape. Okay, so first thing we need to do, as usual, is pick our player colors. There's 5 different colors, and you give one to each player. I just have a blue and a red here. And these are just, you sit in front of the player. They're just to let you know who everybody is. Then we need to get out our tiles. So you need to look for these 2 tiles. This one here is the starting room, and this is the exit. So we'll put our starting room in the center of the table, and we'll set aside our exit for now. Now, you'll notice in the game there's a whole bunch of tiles, but what you want to do now is remove any of the ones that look like this. Any ones that have a purple icon on them, the purple head icon, or that have this treasure icon in the top, or that have both. Some don't have both, some have one or the other. So you want to take out all of those. There should be 13 of those. Set those aside. Set aside these curse tiles. And set aside these treasure tiles. These are used in the advanced game. I will teach you that after I show you how to play the basic game. So then we should have a stack of tiles with no purple heads and no treasure symbols on them. Then what we need to do is shuffle them up, and we need to start off 2 rooms on either side here. So randomly we would place these. Now, when you place tiles, there's a way you have to do it. And this goes every time you place a tile in the game. You'll see it on the bottom of this tile. There's that gray looking staircase. Okay, that always needs to connect to an open door. So because this was drawn to go on this side, it has to connect like that. It is not allowed to connect like that. You have to always connect the gray staircase to the door you're going through. Okay, and then we need to take the exit tile, and we take 4 other tiles, and we shuffle in the exit tile with these 4 tiles. Okay. So we essentially don't know where the exit tile is amongst these 4, and we put it at the bottom of the pile. If you want, and if you're playing with less players, the instruction book recommends it, but I never do it because I find it too easy, is you could put that stack of tiles in the middle of the draw pile. I always just put it at the bottom. I find it too easy if you put it in the middle. But you can if you want. Well, we need to get our explorers in the starting room here. We need to give them each 5 dice. I'll explain what the symbols on the dice are in a bit here. Okay, and then we need to get out our gem depot. So you take this tile here and you set it somewhere that everybody can reach. Now the number of gems you place onto it depends on the number of players you play with. With 2 players, it's 7 gems. And then no matter how many players you play with, you also put 2 beside it. And I'll explain again what you do with these later. And At this point, we're ready to start playing, but we have to decide if we want to use the sand timer or the soundtrack. And I recommend definitely, if you can, use a soundtrack. I just put the CD onto my phone, so it's portable for me, very easy. But I'll explain to you what's going to happen to the soundtrack. I don't want to play it because I don't want some weird copyright flag to come up because it's not my music played under my video. So what's going to happen is you're going to hear some ambient noise at the beginning, and then you're going to hear somebody say, "Escape!" And then you can start rolling your dice and start playing the game. Partway through, you're going to hear a gong go off, and the music is going to pick up a rapid pace, up-tempo, I should say, and then you need to get back to the start tile before you hear a door slam, and if you don't, you lose one of your dice. Then you can go out and do your thing again, keep exploring, and then you're going to hear 2 gongs, and it's the same thing. You got to get back in time or else you lose a dice. Then later you're going to hear 3 gongs, and this signals the end of the game. At that point, you have to get out of the temple. Everybody has to get out of the temple for you to win. And I'll explain how you do all that, but I just wanted to cover what the soundtrack is. Now, if you use the sand timer, it's a little different. Same ideas, same order of everything happening, but you would flip it over and then you would start. Now, before this section runs out, you have to make it back to the room. So there's no gong going to warn you that it's about time to get back. You have to watch the sand timer to see. And then once you get back and the sand timer runs out, anybody who's not back in time loses a dice, and then you flip it over and you just keep going that way using the sand timer to simulate the time between the gongs and the door slamming. And so that's the only difference, but I definitely recommend the soundtrack because it really, I guess, gets you pumped up to play. All right, so let's talk about how we play. So basically what you're going to be doing during this game is rolling dice pretty much as fast as you possibly can. Okay. So each player is going to be doing this. And again, what we're trying to do is get to rooms that have symbols that look like that with a green gem in it, because we need to drop off our green gems in order to increase our chances of escaping. We don't have to drop them all off, but that's basically what we're trying to do. And then we're also trying to find the exit, which is somewhere near the bottom of this pile of tiles. Now, the basic idea of this game is, again, rolling dice as fast as you can to try and match symbols depending on what you're trying to do. So one of the things you can do is move into an adjacent tile that's connected with a door. If there's no doors on both sides, you can't walk through a wall. But if we take a look at this tile, we see that there's 2 green guys down there. That's what we need to roll in order to be able to move into that room. Okay. So again, there's no real turns here. You're just rolling as fast as you can. So you roll your dice, and you can keep re-rolling and saving some dice and re-rolling. But if you use the dice once, like let's say we did roll 2 green guys, they can't be used again for another action. So I can't use these 2 green guys to go in here and then use those exact dice to do something else requiring green guys. I would have to re-roll them and get that result. So there's 3 basic symbols on the dice. There's the green dudes. There are the red torches. And then we have the blue keys. Those are basically things you'll need to match symbols to in order to move into new rooms or to drop off gems. Now there are also 2 other symbols on the dice. When you roll your dice and you end up with this black symbol here, that locks your dice. You're unable to re-roll it. But there are these gold symbols. These heal your black dice, and they can heal 2 of them. So 1 gold symbol can heal 2 black dice. So if this was my roll here, I could use the one, if I wanted to, I could use the 1 gold mask to basically unlock these dice and let me re-roll them again. And I can save any dice I want to use for later if I want, or I can just keep re-rolling and keep re-rolling. Yes, the only caveat is you can't re-roll black dice until you unlock them. And once you use dice to do something, you then have to re-roll them. You can't use those same symbols again on those dice. Okay, so that's rolling. The other thing with the gold masks is if you're in a room with somebody else, like our 2 players here are, you can basically lend your die or the symbol on your die to another player. So blue could have rolled this and red could have 2 black masks, and blue could say, hey red, I have a gold symbol, use my gold symbol. And then red could re-roll his 2 black masks. Now, it is possible in this game that everybody becomes locked on black masks. So red could have rolled this, and then blue could be trying to roll gold masks to unlock his dice, but fails. And ends up locking his dice the same way. So that's where these 2 gems that you set aside at the start of the game come in. You can put one back into the gem depot, and that lets everybody re-roll their dice. The problem with doing that is that it makes it harder to escape at the end of the game, and I'll tell you why later, but know that that's going to make it harder for you to get out at the end. And if there's no 2 left to put back because you've used them both already, then you can't obviously put any more gems back in here, so you're stuck locked in your dice and you basically lost the game. Of course, the other way to lose the game is if the soundtrack runs out before you've both escaped, or everybody's escaped. So let's talk about the actions you can take. So again, to move into another room, you need to match the symbols on the tile. This tile wants 2 green guys. So if I roll 2 green guys, I could move in here. You can also use 2 green guys to reveal a new tile. So we'll spend 2 green guys that we rolled. And it's just listed on the back there, 2 green guys. Every tile is 2 green guys. You flip it over, and you put it in whatever room you want to. I'll just put it over here just so you can see. And again, you have to match the gray step with the door that you're walking through. Okay. And then, again, you don't get to instantly move into that room. You have to pay the cost to move into there. So remember, this cost me 2 green guys to put out, and it costs me 2 green guys to move in. I can't use the same 2 green guy dice to lay this tile out as to move into it. I would have to re-roll those dice or have like 2 sets of green guys, and then I could lay this out and then move into it. 1 set to lay the tile out, 1 set to move in. Okay. And then the only other thing you can do in the basic game is activate these gem slots. And there'll either be 1 on some of the tiles, or some of the tiles have 3. So let's take a look at this one here. What this says is you need 4 torches, and then you can lay out 1 green gem here from your depot. Why do we need to lay out gems? Because when we find the exit tile to leave the temple, we have to roll 1 more key symbol on our dice than there are gems in the depot. So there's 7 gems in the depot right now. We would have to roll 8 symbols individually, 8 key symbols. Obviously that's impossible with 5 dice. So we have to lay out at least 3 gems during the course of our game. And the more we can lay out, the easier it is to escape. So again, when you're in a room with one of these magical gem depots or drop-off spots, that number, the 4 times torches, you can work with somebody to get. So it can be a combined effort, or you could do it yourself. So red and blue here could combine to roll 4 torches, and then you would take one of your gems, set it on there. Now that is used up, it's staying there for good. And you can't drop off more gems at that spot because it's used. Now, there's some rooms that have 3 different depot slots on them. A 4 times, a 7 times, and a 10 times. So again, you can work collectively. The 4 times lets you drop off 1 gem, the 7 times lets you drop off 2 gems, and the 10 times lets you drop off 3 gems. But once you use one of these, like let's say you ended up rolling 7 keys collectively and you put 2 gems on there, you can't use the 10 times with the 4 times. You only get to use one of these 3. And that's it for the basic game. So your goals are to drop off some magical gems, don't have to do all of them, but then to keep exploring so you get to the point in the, well, there it is right there, the point where you pull the escape tile, and then you can win the game by leaving the temple. Now again, the soundtrack's going to be going off. You're going to hear gongs that signal you need to get back to the middle. And if you hear the door slam before you get back, you lose a dice permanently from the game. And that gong sequence happens twice. The 3rd gong you hear is a triple gong. And then that's your signal that if you don't get out of the temple before the soundtrack ends, you lose. And everybody needs to get out of the temple for you to win. So if only blue makes it out here, nobody wins. Let's talk about exiting. This is the last thing to talk about, I think. So we have 2 gems left in our depot. Everybody's got here. Now, individually, we have to roll keys equal to 1 more than the number of gems we have. We have 2 gems left, so we have to roll 3 keys individually. So there's blue. He got 1 key. He'll use his black symbol or his gold symbol to unlock the black dice. Keep that key. Uh-oh. No keys and a locked dice. He'll use the gold to unlock. Use the gold to unlock. And there, he got the 3 keys he needed. So now blue would get out of there because he completed his roll. And red is still sitting there. He can't seem to roll the 3 keys. When you leave the temple, you can give one of your dice to one of the other players who's still inside the temple. So blue can give red one of his dice, and now red has more opportunities to roll keys because he has more dice. And then if red gets out too before the soundtrack ends, the players win. And if not, the door slams and the players lose. And that's it. So I will talk to you now about the 2 advanced modules. Usually Queen Games has modules in all their games you can add, at least the ones that I have. Fresco comes to mind. So the 2 modules are tiles that have the purple dude on them and tiles that have the treasure spot on them. Some have just the purple dude, some have just the treasure symbol, some have both. So what you would do is you would take, at the beginning of the game, if you want to play with these tiles, you would take out the 13, I think they call them basic tiles, I'm not sure what they call them, but 13 tiles need to come out of the stack. So you keep your start and exit. You keep any spots that have drop-off points for the gems, but every other tile type, so like this for instance, gets removed from the game and replaced with the purple dude. So it should be a 13 tiles come out and 13 with the purple dude, and or the treasure symbol come in. So what do these do? So when you draw a tile that has a purple mask on it, you set it out like normal, but then you take a curse. So you draw the top one of these curse tiles and something happens to you. When you draw a tile that has the gold treasure symbol, you take one of the treasure tiles and you put it face down on the slot, and then it costs somebody 2 keys and they can pick up that tile, and that gives them a bonus. So let's take a look at what we can get. So let's take a look at our curses first. Okay, we have this one here, which prevents you from leaving or discovering a new room. And you'll see there's a cost at the bottom, a torch, a key, and a green guy. Every curse has a cost at the bottom that you yourself have to roll individually, and then you can get rid of the curse. And if you happen to draw an identical curse again, so if we draw this exact same tile from the curse deck, it just gets thrown away, the new one that you drew. You don't get cursed the same way twice. Okay, so again, we could match those symbols at the bottom with our dice to get rid of this curse. And this curse traps us in our room. We can't discover new tiles and we can't leave. This is the broken dice curse. You put one of your dice on there and it stays there until you break this curse. This is the mask curse. So normally your gold dice let you heal 2 black dice. This makes it so you can only heal 1 black dice. This is the curse of silence. This makes it so you're not allowed to talk during the game. Have this curse here, which makes it so that you any dice that you have that you roll off of the table are now removed from the game and you don't get them back. So that's the lost dice curse. And then we have the cursed hand. This one you have to play with one of your hands stuck to your forehead, like shown in the picture. Okay, now let's take a look at the treasures and what we get. So there's 3 kind of there's only 2 basic ones. Yeah. Or simple ones. This is 2 torches. So you can use this one time and it gives you 2 torch symbols, as if you rolled 2 torch symbols. This is the same thing except for keys. You then have a golden mask icon, which lets everybody re-roll all of their dice. Or sorry, all of your black mask. Well, all of your black masks, which you could re-roll all of your dice too. Now this is like a one-shot gem depot. You could, when you get this, you stick it in front of you and you put 1 green gem from the depot onto this tile. And then it stays there. So it's just like you use a spot like this. Okay. We have the secret passageway, which looks like this. So this lets you put a door between 2 adjacent tiles that don't have doors connecting them. So right here, for instance, and now we'd be able to move through this, what was formerly 2 unconnected walls, and now they're connected and we can move through. So that's helpful for getting back to the middle when that phase of the game comes up. And then we have teleportation. You are allowed to move to any tile that has one of your friends in it. And that's it. So that's all of how to play Escape Curse of the Temple. So let's go ahead and let me give you my final thoughts on this game. All right, final thoughts for Escape Curse of the Temple. This was the first game that I played that had like a timed element to it. first game that I played that had a soundtrack with it. So those were really cool things when I saw them. And I think the soundtrack is really excellent, and it really helps drive the pace of the game, and kind of makes you more panicked as the tempo picks up as you're getting closer to failing. So that's pretty neat. But while this is a very fun game, and it's also a very short game, there's not a whole lot of strategy here. You're just basically rolling as fast as you can and hoping you can match the symbols. And for a game that's only 10 minutes long, that's fine. That doesn't bother me, but again, there's not a whole lot of strategy to this game. So I kind of like that frantic pace of, oh, let's go, and oh, my dice are all locked. I need you to come save me, even though you're at the other end of the temple, because all my dice are locked and I need your gold masks to save me. So that's pretty cool. I like that aspect of it, but again, there's not a whole lot of strategy. If you can't roll the dice, you can't win the game. That's just the way it is. Now, what I don't like about this game, some of these curses are pretty goofy, particularly this. This, if your dice fall off the table, they're gone forever. That's kind of goofy, especially if you're playing with like a dice tower or a dice tray. I mean, I have seen people roll off the table with a dice tray. Kind of crazy, but I don't know if that's in there for kids or what that's in there for, but that's also assuming that we're playing on a table. And it's just kind of goofy. I don't like that one. But worse is this. Play with your hands stuck to your head. I mean, I don't want to do that. And not that this really impedes me any. I can still roll dice. I play this game with one hand anyway. It's just annoying. It's just an annoyance to me. So I really don't like those two curses. I think they're stupid. The other curses are pretty cool. Silence is a little goofy, but it makes sense in a cooperative game that you're not allowed to communicate with your teammates. So these other curses are good. I like these. The treasures are pretty cool too, but those two curses, just annoying more than anything. So again, this is can be a very stressful game for people because of the pace, and you're kind of like yelling at each other like, we need to do this and we need to do that and let's go, I need dice over here. And for some people, like my wife, for instance, they hate that. They don't like that they're being rushed and that there's no time to think. Even though there's not a whole lot of thinking to do, you're still being like pushed to go faster and faster. And for some people, that's just too much stress, and they don't want to have a stressful experience when they're playing a game. They want to be able to sit and relax. So some people won't like the game based on that. It doesn't bother me too much. I kind of like the sense of relief when you just get out of the temple just in time as the door's slamming. Component-wise, this game's pretty good. Queen Games does a good job with their components. The quality of the soundtrack is awesome, and they include a sound timer if you don't have a CD player, but I would recommend putting it on your phone if you have a smartphone. Makes it a lot easier. Other than that, not much else to say. It's a 7 out of... actually, it's a 6 out of 10 for me. 7 out of 10 based on the Board Game Geek rating scale makes it seem like I'm always willing to play this. I do have to be in the right mood to play it, and it is fun, but there's not a whole lot to it. And it is slightly stressful, so if you just want to sit there and chill out during a game or think a whole lot during a game, this isn't the game for you. But if you just want to have a fun, silly time, it only takes 10 minutes. So I kind of recommend this game. If the walkthrough looked like fun to you, then I'd suggest taking a look. There's also now a new zombie-themed one that I haven't played. I think there's a little more game to it than this one. Some more things to do. And alternatively, Zombie 15, which I should do a run-through of soon, is also available, which is a real-time game about running around killing zombies. So 2 real-time zombie killing games. But this one's easy, this one's fun, this one's probably the simplest of the 3 that I mentioned. So 6 out of 10 for me. So So please like and subscribe to my channel here for more board game videos. But until next time, this has been Chris from Cardboard Dragon Reviews. Keep your dice on the table.